guys, this is Jay. Got the cowboy hat and sunglasses on today because it is sunny and it is hot. If you saw that short video I put out a little while ago, you'll know that I've had quite a bit of work done to this thing, and I'm finally getting around to going in depth on what was done. The next clip you're about to see was shot nearly 2 months ago because I've been really busy, and the whole build ended up snowballing way more than I intended. So this is going to be one video of a several part series going over all the parts that were put on. Initially it was just going to be some exhaust and intake bolt-ons, but the technician had some issues disassembling stuff and found more problems as he took off more things, so that led me to put even more parts on it. So yeah, hope you like what you see. Hey guys, this is Jay. Today is an awesome day. One, because the Lord has blessed us with literally the perfect weather, and two, because I have a big old pile of parts in front of me that I am so excited to share with you guys. In short, I've got PPE high flow exhaust manifolds and up-pipes. I have a Fleece Performance modified intake horn and an MBRP high flow turbo downpipe. Let me set the camera down and I'll give you guys a more detailed look at these. First off, before I get started, I want to say thanks to Jake over at Fast Diesel Fuel Systems for sending me this nice t-shirt. Fits great, and I'm excited to represent the brand for you guys. This video format's going to be a little bit different because, of course, the original parts are still on the truck, so I can't show them to you side by side, but I'm going to do my best to get some good videos showing all the ins and outs of these aftermarket parts, and then once the aftermarket parts are installed and I have the factory ones in my hand, I'll do the same thing with those so you guys can see the differences between the OEM parts and these performance parts. So starting with PPE, they sent like everything. I mean, they sent this awesome catalog, which is super dangerous because if I'm not careful, I'll start lusting after all these other things that I want. They have an awesome diagram in here showing just how much better these flow than the factory ones. Hopefully you guys can see that. The red is of course the factory constricted ones, and the blue are these new ones with the nice swept bends and non-squashed tubes. Got the same thing on the next page for the exhaust manifolds, and again you can see how the red ones show the factory manifolds, which are basically just, you know, 4 holes going into a log, and then you've got these over here which have these really nice actual runners, and you can see how each port has a really nice smooth path into the manifold. And they also, these are the optional black ceramic coated. You can get them raw or silver. I chose black. They come pre-drilled and tapped with EGT 1/8 NPT bungs, so you don't have to modify these to put an EGT probe on, since these trucks don't come with them from the factory. The up-pipes, these things are incredible. They're all mandrel bent. The bends are super large and swept. The TIG welds are just beautiful. I mean, this is TIG welded stainless. You can see inside the opening there, and I mean the walls on these are so thick, they're not going to warp. The bellows are much stronger and flow a lot better than the factory ones. You can see how they are getting every bit of flow they can. This side is clearly more constricted since they had to pinch this tube off a little bit, and because they can't get the full 90 out of the bends. For the intake horn, this one's really simple. Apparently the factory intake horn is not ported to match the 60mm inlet on the turbo, so Fleece just CNC ports this out a little bit. They claim 15 horsepower on the dyno and more turbo whistle, which is the real reason why we're doing any of this, of course. This downpipe, I've heard so many good things about this. This one, I mean, you can see how nice and smooth that bend is. You can see that this tube is, well, it's actually a tube. It's not a round tube, that is. It's not squashed oval like the factory one. This one, I believe, is also black ceramic coated, and it's supposed to make the truck sound a whole lot different too. I'm excited to hear the rumble that comes out of this thing. But overall, all three of these together should make that turbo spool up a lot faster, and it already spools pretty quick, so I'm really excited to see what these do. The extras that come with it are pretty comprehensive. MBRP sends a really nice stainless V-band and a new gasket for the flange. Fleece Performance, there's not much to send there. They send you a good new gasket for that too. But PPE sends just about everything. They of course send you stickers and an instruction manual. They send really nice multi-layer stainless steel gaskets for the downpipes and the manifolds. They send a bag full of socket head cap screws for all of the bolt locations here. They send an up-pipe, or excuse me, a downpipe support bracket to help support this thing right here off one of the up-pipes. Now, the only things that PPE don't send are, you'll need heat wrap for the power steering lines that are running very close to one of these exhaust manifolds, since the shape of them causes this to stick out further from the engine than the factory ones do, and I believe they'll actually touch that line, so you have to wrap it with something, otherwise you'll melt it very quickly. That's not optional, you have to do that. What is optional but highly recommended is new fasteners for the up-pipe flanges and also the downpipe flange here. I spoke with Merchant Automotive, and they sell these kits in a pack of 3 bolts. One, each one of these flanges has 3 bolts, so 4 packs of these gets you the up-pipes taken care of, and then there are 6 bolts on this, so 2 more packs, and you can replace all of these fasteners with the best bolts money can buy. These come with 12-point fasteners and hardened washers to really ensure that, one, you're not using 20-year-old heat cycled bolts on this, and 2, these are notorious for breaking because they've been heat cycled so many times, they've been in there so long, and I'm really excited for the peace of mind that comes with knowing that brand new bolts are going to be holding all this stuff together. And I'm really excited, if you couldn't tell. So, well, hopefully a few minutes you'll see this thing running with the new parts on it. But anyways, that's what I got, and I'm excited. Alright, just like that, we got the new parts on the truck, and all the old parts are here in front of me. I want to go over this quickly to minimize the amount of time it takes for you guys to hear this thing running with the new parts. So starting with the exhaust manifolds, here's the passenger side, and even with this one, you can see that there's really no runner going into the log. It's just ports going straight into it. The driver's side one is even worse because it has to get kinked in pretty tight to clear, I believe, the steering shaft. The up pipes, this one is not too bad, not really any kinks in it. The bends can be a little bit wonky, but the main constriction happens at this one, which you can see is pinched off pretty tight and then dented over here, and this bend is really tight. Actually, both of them are, and the bellows are also much smaller. This is incredible. Here's the intake horn, and you can see that there's about a 1/4 inch of a mismatch between the opening of the gasket and the opening of the intake horn. So I guess that's there to try to keep things quiet. And lastly is this downpipe. Now, there's a couple things I want to note here. Obviously the bend is really square and the tube is tight, and there's a big dent over here and also right here. But also I had to cut this flange off because I had some fitment issues between the PPE up pipes and the MBRP downpipe. But I'm going to go over that in detail and show you what I had to do to get it to work. But yeah, these are the stock parts, and after what you guys just saw with those upgraded parts, it's pretty obvious how much of an upgrade they're going to be in efficiency, performance, and even sound. So I'm excited to show you what it sounds like. All right, we've got the hood open now because I want to show you guys these parts on the truck. The exhaust manifolds and up pipes are going to be pretty tricky to see. kind of see them right around in here, but they all bolted together great. And the fact that the PPE manifolds had easy T-bungs on both sides really helped me with some of the parts I'm going to talk about in the later videos. There was only one minor issue though. So the turbo, right where the downpipe meets up to the back of the turbo, there's actually a spacer in there, and that is because there's a slight bit of interference between the MBRP downpipe and PPE up-pipes. I spoke with both MBRP and PPE, and it appears that the MBRP downpipe is clearanced for the factory up-pipes, which are smaller and squashed a bit flatter and run closer to the cylinder head. So that was the need for the spacer. I'm going to talk about that more later and show you the details on what that was and how I got it put in place. Now that you've seen the parts fully installed on the truck, I want to show you some pictures during the installation so you can see exactly what the issues were that I had with the MBRP downpipe and the PPE up-pipe. So the first picture is showing the MBRP downpipe up against the back of the turbo, and you can see how there is a gap that widens as you get closer to the bottom of the turbo. And that is because, as you see in this next picture, the MBRP downpipe is contacting the passenger side PPE up-pipe. It appears that the MBRP downpipe is clearanced for the factory up-pipes, and that the PPE up-pipe, even though it does have a D-shaped cross-section, is still sticking out further than the factory up-pipe. So this clearance issue would not be there if you were just putting the MBRP downpipe on a truck that still has the factory up-pipes. The next picture is getting into what I was saying about how I cut the flange off of the downpipe. Before I explain it, I want to give a big shout out to Bob Myers at Myers Machine and Welding here in Lexington, Kentucky. He did this same day, and it was a huge help to get my truck finished on time. One other thing to keep in mind if you do need to use the original flange as a spacer, the flange is actually welded over top of the downpipe, so there is a piece of the old downpipe that is inside of the flange, and so it's best to have that ground out before you install this as a spacer, just to minimize any flow restriction. So that didn't take too long with a drum sander. I did it myself before I took it to Bob Myers. So he put it on his surface grinder, and you can see from this picture just how incredible the surface finish was. But he ground it down to 5/16 of an inch, which is just enough to space the downpipe backwards enough to get it to mount flat up against the back of the turbo, and also clear the PPE up-pipes. It is important to note that you do have to use a gasket on either side of this if you do have an MBRP downpipe that you want to install with PPE up-pipes. But otherwise, this is all you have to do, and they fit together great, and as you'll see soon, it runs great. This picture shows the spacer installed between the downpipe and the turbo flange, and you can see how it is nice and flat from top to bottom, and that with gaskets in place, it will seal nicely. I want to take a moment here to clarify that PPE also produces a downpipe for this truck, and it, of course, fits with their up-pipes. The reason I did not get a PPE up-pipe is, one, because I didn't know about it, but two, I had already purchased the MBRP downpipe before I purchased the PPE manifolds and up-pipes. So this clearance issue, again, to be clear, is only present between the MBRP downpipe and the PPE up-pipes. All right, now here's what you've all been waiting for, how the truck sounds. These next clips show the before and after. Please know that the whistle you hear in the exhaust of the after videos is because of the new turbo I also had installed in this process. Stay tuned for future videos because that's in the next one. Fleece Performance Cheetah 63mm billet turbo. Man, would you listen to that Fleece Cheetah whistle? I love it. Thanks for watching, and remember, if it's smoking, it's broken.